special city council meeting at 2:00 p.m. Council, when I call your name, please say here or present. Mayor Maxton.
Here.
Councilmember Stroop, do not see. Councilmember Elizondo.
Here.
Councilmember Bliss.
Here.
Councilmember Kerner.
Here.
Councilmember Parker.
Present.
And Councilmember Menchow is not here.
Filling in.
With 5 members present, a quorum of council is declared.
Thank you, Amanda. And would everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you. Thanks, everybody, for being here today for our special meeting. As a reminder, we are live broadcasting today's meeting. If you do have an opportunity to speak before council, I'd ask that you use the microphone that's up here. That way, so those that are viewing by live broadcast can also hear the comments. If you do have the opportunity to speak, I ask that you introduce yourself. If you're with an organization from outside the city, please state what organization you're from. Or if you're within the city, what department you're from. And if you're a resident, please state if you're a Fair Oaks Ranch resident or not. And for the council, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today for this special meeting and finding time in your schedules to fit this in. We had no one sign up to speak as part of Citizens to be Heard. Is there anybody here that did not get an opportunity to sign up that would like to speak? No hands. All right, we'll move on with our the purpose of our special meeting today, which is, excuse me, consideration and the possible action awarding a bid for brush removal service and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the awardee. And Clayton, are you going to kick this off?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thanks again for coming, everybody, and finding time in your schedules. I'm Clayton Holscher, Procurement Manager for the city. I work for the Finance Department. And for today's meeting is the consideration of possible action awarding a bid and authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with CTC Disaster Recovery Response Incorporated for brush removal services. So just by way of background, at a special city council meeting on February 23rd, 2023, City Council voted and approved a motion authorizing a not-to-exceed amount of $300,000 for brush pickup related to the ice storm. As a result of that, the city executed a contract with Cole Field Services, LLC, to begin that process of collecting brush. 8,817 cubic yards of brush were collected and disposed of in the Kendall and Comal County portions of our cities for a cost of $154,305.73. We also had some costs associated with required payment and performance bonds included in the agreement that came out to $9,000. The city originally projected 9,700 cubic yards for these counties. So we actually came in about a little bit under our projection. So we are about 91% of our original projected amount when we compare our actuals to our projected for those two particular counties. So for some due diligence while the brush removal process began, we advertised a separate invitation for bid for the remaining estimated amount. And that amount includes 25,333 cubic yards in Bexar County. We opened the bids on March 29th, 2023. You see the table there showing the 4 bids that we received with CTC Disaster Recovery Response, Bueno Pro Services, Coalfield Services, LLC, and Looks Great Services of Mississippi. After reviewing the bids and contacting references, CTC Disaster Recovery Response Incorporated was determined to be the lowest responsible bidder for the project at a rate of $7.88 per cubic yard and 25,333 cubic yards. We estimate a total cost of $199,624.04. I'll speak a little bit to CTC real quick. We also have a representative, Shannon Adler. She's a project manager. She's based out of the Houston office. She's got 15 years of experience in this industry. She's here to answer any sort of questions that you might have as well. We did require 5 references for everybody that for everybody that submitted a bid. CTC, I made contact with 7 references for them. They provided some extra references. All checked out really well. They, have done this sort of work for a long period of time. I believe 21 years of experience. Their company's been in business. In addition to that, they provided 11 recommendation letters from 2017 on, as well as 66 example projects listed from 2011 on. They've got a great amount of experience in these sort of disaster-related projects. They listed the FEMA disaster declarations for us in there to kind of show. They are a large company. We have a letter from a surety company showing that they have a bonding capacity of $20 million. The awarded bidder will required to provide payment and performance bonds, but we have no reason for concern and for anything associated with that. They also provided a list of equipment that they have. They currently own or lease 204 grapple trucks, as well as other equipment associated with it as well. They did mention that they could start as early as Tuesday of next week if we elected to move forward, utilizing the grapple trucks and any sort of skid steers if needed. So similar kind of collection process to what our residents are used to. This particular vendor also just is in the process of finishing some work for the city of Taylor and Hutto. The Taylor job was an especially large job. From their public works director, they collected approximately 750,000 cubic yards for that city. And I believe Hutto was about 15,000. I did speak specifically with the city of Hutto and Taylor, and they both gave positive recommendations for using this company. Very positive recommendations that they gave. So they are just finishing up some jobs in that area, and this is one not too far from that area that they were interested in. The pricing is quite a bit lower than what you see from the second low bidder on. We did verify the pricing with them. They did verify with the landfill that they're going to go to that they will be able to hold everything that they take. There's no chipping or anything like that on site, no staging. It's just hauling it off and going straight to a landfill. They used historical projects from historical similar projects to come up with their pricing. I did ask them to verify that, and I feel confident in their pricing. So I have no concerns on that. So if approved, the contract will establish a cubic yard rate for a not-to-exceed amount. The contract will be our standard construction contract. If at any reason we needed to terminate for non-performance, we can do that immediately. That's standard for our projects. We recommend including a contingency of 10% in the event the amount collected exceeds the city's estimated amount. I know right now for the 2 counties we're tracking a little bit below, but there's still a lot of unknowns in our projections. We just don't know until it gets collected. The contractor will be allowed 8 weeks to complete the work, although it's anticipated that work will be done and complete in about 3 to 4 weeks. So the policy benefit is just the widespread damage to property and threat to safety and infrastructure requires immediate assistance for the removal of debris created by the ice storm. Some of the budgetary impact is that there was $300,000 initially approved and budgeted for this project. Currently, there's a savings of $136,694.27 from that original $300,000. So based on the city's estimate of the 25,333 cubic yards, this agreement is estimated at $199,624.04. So just based on the projections, that would result in an additional amount of almost $62,929.77 to complete the estimated amount of work. Adding a 10% contingency of $19,962.40 would increase that amount that we still need of up to $82,892.17. This amount may require a budget amendment later on in the fiscal year if the projected budget savings are used for other purposes. We'd utilize our standard construction agreement that our city attorney has already reviewed. We provided an attachment, I think, in the packets. And so what our recommendation is to authorize the city manager to sign an agreement with CTC Disaster Recovery Response Incorporated, establishing a cubic yard rate of $7.88 based off an estimated amount of 25,333 cubic yards. Any additional work would be billed at that cubic yard rate of $7.88 for a not-to-exceed total amount of $219,958.24, which includes that 10% contingency that we discussed. And as I mentioned earlier, that additional amount may require a budget amendment later on in the fiscal year if projected savings are used for other purposes. So that is our recommendation and motion. And I am happy to answer any sort of questions that you may have of anything. And we also have a contractor representative.
God, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think no, Clayton covered it very well, and I just appreciate his work, particularly over the last many weeks, I guess, as we've made several twists and turns on this issue, as well as the rest of the staff for working through this and the city for their patience. I think the only thing I'll add is since the proposed contract would use a substantially similar process, I anticipate that, well, not anticipate, we will use essentially the same type of monitoring from city staff to confirm that the cubic yards collected, hauled, and raised, so we can monitor that for contractual purposes as well. So that process will remain largely intact. Other than that, I think Clayton covered it well.
Roy?
Yeah, so I'm not sure who would want to answer this question, but, you know, if I back into the per cubic yard price on the contract for Comal and Kendall, you know, that worked out to about $17.50 a cubic yard. And
Correct.
then this is $7.88, so that's a $9.62 difference. Is there something different about the work specification that drove that price difference, or is that just?
It just varies based on the companies, the amount of work they have going on. We're catching this company in a really good timing, beneficial for us, to be quite honest with you. This is not typically their busy season. Their busiest season is typically the hurricane season. And so, you know, this is not a relatively large job for them, but it's one that they can get in and get out quickly. And I did verify the pricing.
So this isn't, this lower price isn't the result of not having to do all of that compliance elements in case we were to apply for a grant for the Comal and Kendall?
I believe so, because we're going to still be monitoring it, just because we have to track how much is collected.
But
since
it
we're
doesn't
paying
need
by
to
the
go to a
cubic yard.
specific landfill in a particular county and all that kind of stuff?
It will go into a TCEQ permitted landfill as the previous work was done, so really nothing is going to change in that regard.
Okay. I guess that's my question. I do, you know, have a comment, but I will wait until we have a motion on the floor to make that comment, so.
Yep.
Are they going to be pushing the piles into bigger piles, just like the last vendor in people's yards?
From what and conversations with them, they'll go through with the grapple trucks and they'll have a skid steer with them if needed to load onto the, to grab anything close to the truck that they need to, so they won't be consolidating piles. They'll just be, they'll have a skid steer there following that truck, and they'll go grab it and then put it in the truck right away.
What is a skid steer?
A Bobcat type, a smaller,
Sorry,
Tractor.
if that's a dumb question, but,
just one of the smaller tractors that has kind of the smaller loader on it.
okay. And then I have a question, I don't know, I think it might need to wait until after we have a motion, but I have a question about the actual suggested motion. Should I wait till after we have a motion to ask my question, or?
Go ahead.
So I'm just curious, because we approved the 300K and we have 136 left. So why wouldn't this motion read to be that we needed to approve an additional 82K instead of the 219 that it lists in there? Because we've already approved the other funding.
I believe what they looked at was the motion is to sign a contract for this amount.
Gotcha, okay.
And the 82,000 will be included in that $219,080.
Okay, I gotcha, that makes sense then.
858.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? Scott, anything?
Nope.
And Roy, do you have another comment, or you want to wait till?
My comment relates more to the motion probably than
Okay,
questions for Clayton or staff.
all right. Exceptional job, Clayton. Thank you
you.
very much. Are there any other questions from anybody here? With that, then, can I get a motion to authorize the city manager to sign an agreement with CTC Disaster Recovery Response Incorporated, establishing a cubic yard rate of $7.88 based off an estimated amount of 25,333 cubic yards. Any additional work will be billed at the cubic yard rate of $7.88, not to exceed a total amount of $219,958.24, which includes a 10% contingency. And could I get a motion, please?
So moved.
I second.
Roy and Laura. And any additional comments from council?
Can I go ahead?
Yes.
So the comment I'm going to make kind of relates to, and I believe it's well stated in the policy analysis and benefits to citizens in the documentation for this motion. And it's the same comment I made with respect to the drainage issues that we talked about at a recent meeting. But there's questions out in the community about why are we spending this money, the city money, to solve this problem. And, you know, the Texas Constitution does have, constrains us from spending public funds for private use. However, some years back, the state attorney general created some rules that we need to follow if we see a need to do that. And it's a 3-part test. And the main part of that, outside of, you know, making sure that there's good accountability for the funds, is that it serves a public purpose. And I just wanted to go on the record again saying that I believe this council, in approving the past motion and this motion to do this work, has established a public purpose, which is health and safety of the community for doing this. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Anybody else? With that, then we'll go ahead and vote on the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clayton.
Thanks.
And that was the only business that we had on the agenda for today. Amanda, is there anything else that we need to cover? Got anything else we need to add?
Nothing from me.
All right. Then I have the time now is 2:18, and we are adjourned.
Okay.